Lumos. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Shell Cottage Radio. I'm your host, Ezra, a.k.a. Bill, also known as Sir Ezra the Watchful, History of Magic Professor, the Flannel Wizard, obviously. Yours truly, me. Please welcome your lovely design witch, the fascination of fourth year, and my wonderful co-host, and yours, Lottie, a.k.a. Fleur.
Einen wunderschönen guten Tag. We're so happy that you're here. Come in and make yourself at home in our beautiful cottage on the outskirts of Tinworth. This is episode number 74 of Shell Cottage Radio, and this week we talk about chapter 17 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Cat, Rat, and Dog. As usual, we will start with our cottage catch-up, train for future trivia nights, and do our best to learn more about magical and fantastic beasts this time again. Hey, how are you?
Well, I'm great. I was just thinking too. You always say that we're training for future trivia nights.
Oh, when are they going to come?
When are they going to come? We need to go to like some, I don't know, just like bar trivia, some Harry Potter bar trivia. I know up in Cleveland that they have some for sure.
Oh, they probably do in Cleveland and Columbus.
Yeah.
So we should check that out.
We need to check it out, and we need to see how old Bill is doing and how I'm going to fare. Because I think I do okay, but yeah, still need some more trivia training. But I'm doing well. I'm doing much better. Any of you who follow us over on social media will know that I about didn't make it over in Germany. We went away for the holidays. We went back to Germany. It was awesome. It was wonderful. But I was sick the entire time.
Yes, you were.
And I mean, I was sick.
I've never seen you that thick.
Thick? What'd you say? What the? Whoa.
And you can see the first mic bump on camera again.
Oh my gosh, this is great. This is great.
I've never seen you that sick.
Yeah.
That sick.
I've never seen you that sick. Yes. I was sick. I was very sick and could not. I think we were talking to Rika a little bit. We had our episode last week, right? I think that just posted, and we had said in there we were making some predictions about how things were going to go, right? How things were going to go in Germany. We were premonitions, forecasting the weather, and basically saying that all weathermen are essentially, they have the gift, the in your eye, right? They can see. But we were right about the weather. I just was not able to foresee my own illness coming. Yeah. And I wonder if that's a thing.
Maybe that's a good thing, honestly.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering too, even in the Harry Potter sort of universe world, like, can you prophesy or foresee things about your own self? You know, because Trelawney, it's typically about other people. If you could do that for yourself, then, right?
And when they do their classwork, don't they always do it for their partner? Like, okay, give me your teacup. I'll look
they do.
Don't they? I mean, I don't know if that's a movie thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like they don't look at their own.
I feel like it's just an explanation as to why I did not foresee my own.
Yeah, because you're actually a true seer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Even though I'm ironically the history of magic professor, so I'm looking backwards. And you know what I mean? I don't really care about the future. We're looking backwards. But we had a great time. It was cool. We got back, still dealing with like a little ear situation thing. I'm not sure if I had a viral infection, bacterial. I don't know. But stay safe out there, friends. Get your vitamin C and get your, what is the drink we had? I had lemon and
lemon, ginger root, and
honey.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. It was nice. It was great. And it did help a lot. But I don't know, when you're like away from your space and stuff, it's tough to
I bet. I felt so bad because we were also moving space, like, you know, with the holidays you go see your family and then go see other family, and we were moving houses like every 2 days, and I felt bad. Felt so bad for you because
it's all good.
I'm so glad to have you back though, your normal self. And
it's good.
Also, I feel like we haven't talked about food in the last couple of episodes.
What's wrong with us?
I know, right? I wanted this to be a part of our podcast. So the latest thing that you guys know, we always try to find something like healthier options, or I don't know, not always, but we do
not always
try to stay on the healthy side of eating. And right now, I try to satisfy my sweet tooth
Yeah.
And it's really not that bad during the week. I just get that sweet tooth after dinner, just one little thing that I need.
Yeah.
And now I satisfy it with 1 or 2 dates.
Mm-hmm.
And then I make hot chocolate, but with raw cocoa powder.
Yes.
It's great.
It is good,
So
actually.
just have one date and drink some raw hot chocolate. So good.
Now, some of you out there going like, Lottie, seriously, one date leads to 2, 2 leads to 3.
And we all know what happens on the 3rd date.
Oh boy. Yeah, we won't go there. But no, we have been. You've been trying to do more of that. I think it's the new year, so happy new year again to everybody. I think we said that last time as well. But this for us is a start to a new year, and we just brought in, by the way, our video version of the podcast. Hello over there on YouTube. It's just something. It's a companion piece to what we do. Truly, the audio format is what we try to perfect and put out a good audio product. But we have a visual now as well.
Yeah.
And we do make our theory videos, our shorts, and things like that. Over on the YouTube. So we'll continue to do that. Just wanted to upgrade a little bit, and have some, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to us a little bit. So it's fun. It's been fun. And you guys can go check that out. Be sure to do that. So, yeah.
Maybe, yes. Yeah. And it's January. So lots of resolutions, but we're trying to get away a little bit more from resolutions, these resolutions, because as we know, like everybody sets them, but then something gets in the way. Like there's nothing wrong with having goals for the year, but you shouldn't beat yourself up if something happens and oh no, January 2nd, you did something that didn't fit within your resolutions, right? Then don't do that. Like just try to hit your goals within the 12 months and try to find something. What we now try to do is find a word or phrase or something that we set up for the year that we always go back to if we get off course sometimes. So it might sound a little corny, but it helps. For us this year, it's positive mindset, positive energy, and positive growth.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited because we were on a walk the other day. We go on walks all the time. It helps. And one of the air quote resolutions, one of the things I want to do this year too is if we don't go to the gym after dinner, we go for a walk. We go for a 10-minute walk. And we are lucky we live in an area where we can go to a walk on a walk right away.
Yeah,
right? And that helps so much. Even if it's 10 minutes, it just helps the food settle, get some fresh air, and talk about stuff like that. Great. And this is what we came up with.
So notice 3 times the power of 3 there, right? Which is positive, positive, positive. Yeah. Keep it positive, friends. It helps in your life. There's so much. We say this all the time. And again, we're a Harry Potter podcast, but this is our shell cottage and we like to just talk about the things we like to talk about. And we choose to talk about things in a positive light, right? We choose to kind of wade into positive conversations in the Potter universe. Whoa, lots of P's going on here. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that's sort of at the core of what we're looking at for this new year is just that positive energy.
Right.
Positive Potter people as well too.
And we don't mean by that like positive, like this almost toxic positivity where everything needs to be positive or you need to make something positive that's not.
Yeah.
But like try to see the good in things, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
And focus on that. That's the thing. Like focus on the things you want to attract in your life.
Your focus determines your reality.
Love that. We need that as a quote somewhere in our studio.
Yeah, we will.
For sure.
Well, because it's so easy to drift into negative mindsets and stuff. So I think to try to be active and actively, pursue positivity the best you can, wherever you can. Yeah, it is important. But you're right. Yeah, you got to acknowledge that. Not in a toxic way. Yeah. So, okay. Well, that was a little cottage ketchup. Anything else for cottage ketchup?
No ketchup. I like to go to the mustard.
I like mustard. Yeah, sorry. Ketchup's got, I think I've said it before, it's got too many carbs, cutting it out. So strictly
get some mustard.
The cottage the cottage mustard, pull it out. Let's get after it. But we actually just listened to 2 chapters today.
We did. Yeah, because we did our research.
Yeah, we had a great episode with Rika. So if you guys want to back up on that one and check it out for again on the audio version, if you're listening there, you've already heard it over on YouTube. You need to go back and find that over on Apple Podcast, or you can find it on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. But we had even on Audible, right? We've been talking with her about, I think we're doing Professor Trelawney's predictions.
Yeah.
So then when we kind of get into this chapter, you're looking at how all of that sort of unfolds and the timing on it, and when is the sun setting and where is it all going down, because midnight something big's going to happen according to her.
Right.
And it's just like you almost forget, and I know we're about to go into the trivia training, but I just want to say as we go into this chapter, you almost forget about that chapter because of the crazy reveals. Like the first time you read this chapter, it's easy to forget that one because you don't even see Pettigrew coming. You don't even know that this is a player still in the story. You don't understand that in your first read through. So upon a second read, it's like, it's easier to keep that in mind. But I do remember thinking how wild this is, and it's easy on a reread to listen to it and go, dang, this is some crazy stuff that breaks down in this chapter.
True.
But before we jump into all of that, I think we're going to dive into the trivia training, correct?
Yes, I have 2 questions for you today.
And do I know the answer? We shall find out.
Okay, the first question takes us back to Chamber of Secrets. Okay, so which anniversary of his death day is nearly headless Nick celebrating in Chamber of Secrets?
What?
So they're going to the death day party. Which anniversary is it?
Is it his 5? Is it his 500? Is how 500? Is his 500 something?
Is that your final answer?
Can I have a clue, please?
Okay, the clue is that your final answer?
It's his 500th. It's his 500.
Yes, that is correct. His 500th.
Is it really?
Party.
That was a shot in the dark. That was an absolute shot in the dark. I just kind of thought like, okay, it's not like.
So that means nearly headless Nick lived during the 1500s? Mm-hmm. Sometime during the 1500s is when he was.
Sometime.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
And very good. So 1 point for one question. Let's
ding,
see
ding,
if
ding. I really did guess on that. I really did.
And you did great. I mean, that was.
I know we read it. So maybe you know how some of those things get tucked away and you're just.
And you think you don't know, but.
Yeah.
That's why we keep training.
Okay. Right. How many of you out there, honestly, as you were going through, didn't stop and look it up and were like, "Yeah, I think I know this." On the. Okay. Next, we have one more.
Yeah, one more. Okay, whose Harry Potter character's birthday is on New Year's Eve?
On New Year's Eve?
I think you know this. We have a Harry Potter character whose birthday is.
Yes, because it's a misprediction by Trelawney. It's Tom Riddle.
Correct. Right? Voldemort / Tom Riddle's birthday is on New Year's Eve.
Right, because she predicts something about
December?
Harry, and she says something in December, and it's not Harry's birthday, and so you think she's wrong, but it's Voldemort's because of the scar, right?
Yeah, because of the Horcrux. She sees the birthday. Might see. We don't know, but December 31st is when Tom Riddle celebrated his birthday.
Wow, you're really challenging the old history professor over here, like on dates and stuff.
You got full points.
Yeah, no, but I just mean like I lucked out there. The second one I think I knew, but the first one I definitely didn't. So. Okie dokie.
Pretty good.
All right, fine.
Okay, now on to Bill's favorite part of the show, the Magi-Zoology lesson. And we'll keep it short and sweet this week. We'll take a closer look at the Krupp.
The what?
The Krupp.
Who's that?
C-R-U-P. Krupp. Do you know what kind of, before you take a look at it, do you know what kind of animal it could be?
It sounds like what I had over winter break. I had the Krupp. It sounds like I had some sort of infection, sickness or something. I don't know.
This is one that I only recently learned what it is. I think, did they cover it in?
Gotta look it up.
It's
not even coming up.
Wait, it's not C-R-U-P. No. Did they look at it in Professor Lupin's class? I'm not sure, but I definitely learned about what it is when I played. What is it called? Hogwarts Mystery. I played it a little bit. I didn't play the whole thing, but that's when it dawned on me. You know how? Wow. I'm blacking out. That's cool, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
What's Crookshanks is half Kneasel. So Kneasels are cat-like beasts. Krupps are dog-like beasts. Okay, they have a classification of 3 X's, which means competent wizards should cope. The Krupp originated in the southeast of England. It closely resembles a Jack Russell Terrier, except for the forked tail. The Krupp is almost certainly a wizard-created dog, as it is intensely loyal to wizards and ferocious towards muggles. It's a great scavenger, eating anything from gnomes to old tires. Oh. Krupp licenses may be obtained from the Department of for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures on completion of a simple test to prove that the applicant wizard is capable of controlling the Krupp in Muggle-inhabited areas.
Okay.
Krupp owners are legally obliged to remove the Krupp's tail with a painless severing charm? Severing. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let me read that again. Krupp owners are legally obliged to remove the Krupp's tail with a painless severing charm while the Krupp is 6 to 8 weeks old, lest muggles notice it.
Okay.
So a little cute Jack Russell Terrier.
All right.
Not really anything we encounter, I think, throughout the series. Nothing, no one really has one that we know of. But cool that it's there, that you have this cat-like creatures and dog-like creature for sure. Like their typical pet in the Western world.
So that was in the game, the mobile game, it was Hogwarts Mystery or whatever.
Yes, there was a whole part of where you could take care of the magical creatures. Yeah.
Okay.
It might be even in Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
Maybe we will encounter. I think when you roam the grounds and surrounding areas of Hogwarts a little bit more, you might, or Hogsmeade, maybe you see some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, what you want to have or befriend a Krupp?
Maybe. I'm more of a Kneasel person.
I know, me too.
So
I never want to rule it out, though.
No, me neither. That's why. Are we saying that because I feel like half of our listeners are judging us because we're Kneasel people and we're not Krupp people? Are you dog person or are you a cat person? You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah.
They might say that. Are you a Krupp or a Kneasel person?
Yeah. So Kneasel, sorry, but also Krupp would be fine. I don't know.
Especially they're super nice to wizards.
I think my Patronus is an Irish Wolfhound, so
yeah,
maybe
deep inside you are a dog person.
Sure, I've never had a dog, so well, I did have one dog.
But you were very little.
Yeah, not for very long either, too. So
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. Okie dokie, cool beans. So we got the trivia in, we got the Fantastic Beast, and now, friends, it is time for us to dive into
the summary.
Chapter 17, Cat, Rat, and Dog. Paralyzed from shock, Ron, Harry, and Hermione stand still under the invisibility cloak. They just heard the executioner's axe swish from afar, followed by a howl that must have been Hagrid's. They can't believe it. They really killed Buckbeak. Harry's first impulse is to run back to Hagrid, but the sun is setting fast. Ron and Hermione convince Harry that it would do more harm than good to be seen down at Hagrid's after sunset. On their way back to the castle, Scabbers gets so out of control in Ron's pocket that Ron has trouble keeping him put. And then Harry sees the creature, Crookshanks, lurking in the darkness with his bright yellow eyes, ready to attack the squealing rat. At the sight of Crookshanks, Scabbers musters all of his strength and escapes Ron's grip. A literal rat race begins. Scabbers running for his life, closely followed by Crookshanks, who is closely followed by a yelling Ron. Harry and Hermione have no choice. They pull off the cloak and dart after Ron and the pets. Finally, Ron leaps forward and manages to catch Scabbers. But then another creature suddenly approaches the group. It's the giant black dog Harry has been seeing all year long. The beast first attacks Harry and then Ron, who bravely jumps in front of his friend to protect him. The dog sinks his teeth into Ron's arm and aggressively drags his prey away. Both Harry and Hermione try to follow, but are knocked off of their feet by another force. A quick Lumos spell reveals that they're standing right beneath the Whomping Willow. Ron and the dog have vanished in a gap between the roots, but the hostile tree wouldn't let Harry and Hermione get any closer to help their friend, whipping its branches back and forth. Hermione is so desperate that she starts to cry for help, but to her surprise, her cries are heard. Crookshanks finds an opening and places his paw on a knot in the tree. The Whomping Willow stops dead, and Harry and Hermione are able to approach the gap in the roots unharmed. They slide down a low tunnel and quickly follow Crookshanks through the underground passage. Harry remembers that the twins have shown him this tunnel on the Marauders map before, but they've also told him that no one has ever been able to use it. The tunnel stretches almost as long as the one to Honeydukes, and after what has felt like an eternity, the two finally emerge into a room abandoned, dusty, all furniture broken, and wallpaper torn off. Hermione glances around, thinking. Then her eyes widen, and in a frightened voice, she announces her conclusion. They are in the Shrieking Shack. Suddenly, they hear a noise from upstairs. Wands at the ready, the two tiptoe up the stairs, and with a last nod at each other, they bust the door in front of them open. They spot Ron and Crookshanks laying on a bed and hurry towards them. Ron, however, has a terrified look on his face. When Harry turns around to see what Ron is looking at, it's not the large black dog that he sees, but instead a tall, filthy-haired, thin-looking man. With Ron's wand in his hand, he disarms Harry and Hermione. At the sight of Black, Harry's heart is filled with hatred he's never felt before, and an urge to hurt, to kill that man in front of him. Even Ron and Hermione can't hold Harry back as he lunges towards Black. Hermione and Ron quickly join the fist fight to help their friend. But when Harry almost manages to grab his wand, Crookshanks interferes. The cat seems to be on both sides somehow, defending Sirius Black from the kids. Yet Harry is too determined to let the cat stop him. He gets a hold of his wand and orders Ron and Hermione to get out of the way. His wand is pointed directly at Black's heart, but he can't. He can't do it. He hesitates. The seconds go by, and before Harry can make another move, yet another man enters the room. It's Remus Lupin. He disarms Harry and then turns to Black. Lupin is acting strange though. He seems uncertain and asks Sirius where he is. Sirius points at Ron and something seems to click and suddenly makes sense to the professor. Horrified, the kids watch him approach Sirius Black, help him up, and hug him. Hermione freaks out and reveals to Ron and Harry that she knows Lupin is a werewolf and that she's been protecting him this whole time. The kids are so outraged and feel so betrayed that they don't give the two men a chance to explain what's going on. Lupin finally hands them back their wands and puts his own away to encourage them to listen. He explains that he was watching Harry on the Marauders map this evening because he knew they would sneak off to be with Hagrid. When they exited Hagrid's cabin, however, Lupin says he saw another name pop up next to theirs on the map. A name of a person he believed to be dead. And the professor demands to have a look at Ron's rat. Ron hesitates, but takes a thrashing Scabbers out of his pocket. Sirius and Remus disclose to the kids that Scabbers is actually a wizard. They claim that Scabbers is actually Peter Pettigrew.
We're wizards.
Wizards! We're rats! But we're also wizards! Holy smokes.
What would you do? First of all, great job on reading that summary.
Hey, thanks.
What would you do if someone suddenly disclosed to you the pet you've been living with for how many years now? I mean, probably all his life, right? 11 years. 12 years.
Yeah.
Percy had him first, but then Ron had him for the last couple of years. If someone told you this guy is actually a man.
Yeah. It's weird. It's definitely strange.
Do they you just come back to your room from the shower and you just your rat is in their room?
Just chilling.
It's just,
it's strange.
I get it, because in the next chapter, Lupin will say, hey, Sirius, I know you want to kill him, but we gotta help those kids understand.
Yeah.
There's major trauma, not just for Harry, but also for Ron here.
Right. Because this whole book, Ron has been extremely caring and extremely worried about Scabbers. It's causing him anxiety, all this different stuff, right? And there's this beef between him and Hermione, Crookshanks, the rat, etc. I'll just go ahead and say it. I'll just say it. Everyone's thinking it. Maybe you're not. Maybe I'm the only one thinking it. But thank God that this wasn't Jenny's pet. You know what I mean?
I know. Oh my goodness, I know.
It's so once you. So I give J.K. Rowling credit that it's the bizarre. Sometimes in Harry Potter in the series, there's just bizarre things that seem very magical and seem very strange and weird, and you just never would have thought about it. You never would have that's what I meant when we started this episode. It's I could not. I think as you're first reading this, you're trying to figure it out. I think I had seen the movie, maybe not. No, I can't remember if I had seen it first or not, but I just know that going through Prisoner of Azkaban, you come to this chapter and it's just bonkers.
I know.
Absolutely
it's such
bonkers.
A shocker. Yeah.
Yeah. And I almost felt myself even in this reread sort of saying okay, get to the story. Come on.
Yes.
Because something's up here. Something is wrong. You feel betrayed. And then you're starting to be well, there's something weird going on here. This is confusing and it's all coming together, and he's a wizard.
He's a wizard.
Scabbers is a daggone wizard. Whoa. So anyway,
let's go back real quick to the moment when the kids just left Hagrid's hut, basically. And they heard the axe, what they think is the axe, and they assume Buckbeak just has been killed, which we know later he's not, but they don't know that yet.
Right.
So they're trying to, I mean, they're really in shock. Hermione keeps saying she can't believe it. Harry is in shock. They all, I mean, it really is a big deal for them.
Right.
What's cool is, so first of all, Scabbers is freaking out, and we wonder why. First of all, like, did Scabbers know that Crookshanks and Patfoot would be waiting for him in the castle? Because he's been hiding all this time. He managed to, the grounds are easier for him to hide in, right? So there's so many trees and bushes, and I know Crookshanks and Patfoot might have good senses, like of smell and stuff, but he knew something was up. He was trying to get away as much as he could.
Yeah.
And then the kids are under the cloak, though. Were they just so loud, like saying, "Hey, Ron, keep your rat quiet," that Crookshanks could hear them? Or can Crookshanks see them under the cloak? Because Crookshanks comes up to them.
Mm-hmm.
Harry sees him. What's nice about this, so that's the first question. Does Crookshanks see them under the cloak?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or does he just have cat-like senses? So he smelled them, heard them, but he didn't really see them. He just knew they have a cloak because of Hermione.
Yeah.
Second of all, I think it's really nice in this moment. Hermione tries to send Crookshanks away. And this whole book, she's been fighting for her cat.
Yeah.
She's been saying, he's just a cat. It's his nature. It's his instincts. Leave him alone. But in this moment, they just made up. They just became friends again. And Ron just found his rat. So she says, Crookshanks, go away, Crookshanks. So she tries to keep him away from Ron and Scabbers, which is super nice, I think. Yeah.
So,
what do you think?
All right. The first question is, does Crookshanks see them under the cloak?
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Norris does. I feel like that's
she does.
Well, that's the people wonder, right?
Uh-huh.
First of all, they show it in the film, and there's been multiple times where it seems like Dumbledore can also sense them, and I think J.K. Rowling like cleared some of this up in how did she put it? There was some sort of revealing. I did a short on it actually. There was some sort of revealing spell, human revelation spell, where you could you could see who was in the room or whatever, so he can see them under the cloak.
Revelio.
Also, Revelio. Yeah, sorry. Okay, that's simple. But you have at on the Marauders map, right? If you're wearing an invisibility cloak, you can be seen.
Yes.
Right. Still. So Mrs. Norris, a lot of times when Harry is sneaking around, seems to be kind of like able to still perceive that he's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like, is that just extra cat senses? Is there something special? But these are magic
leaves traces, right?
Magic leaves traces. But like, are these cats themselves, whether they're Neasels or whatever? Like, it's Mrs. Norris. People also always wonder about like what's going on with like is
every animal in this series actually a
maledictus
or maledictus?
Yeah, something, right? So who knows? But I mean, Crookshanks definitely, as you said, could hear them, right? Could, like, there's that sense, knows something's up, sneaking up on them. Maybe could even smell Scabbers, possibly,
because he's been looking for Scabbers.
Right, he's on the hunt. What I think is that they actually had Hagrid's hut kind of surrounded. I think they were waiting for an opportunity for Hagrid to leave. There's a lot of stuff going on with Hagrid at that hut. It's I'd have to go back and look and see like the timing of this, but Hagrid at one point leaves and goes to the Ministry to make his case. So what was Scabbers out on the grounds and then got into the milk jug or whatever he was in, right? Wasn't he in a milk jug in Hagrid's hut? So that's when Ron, Harry, and Hermione find Scabbers again, just like out of the blue in his hut. But he might not have been there the whole time.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that he maybe was running around doing stuff, and then maybe Hagrid leaves to go to the Ministry, and he gets in there, hides for a little bit, and they realize, oh, he's there, but Hagrid comes back, and they're doing the appeal process with Buckbeak, and then there's a lot of attention going on around Hagrid's hut. So it's not something that Sirius or Crookshanks would want to really go in there and infiltrate his hut. They're going to draw attention to this big black dog, the Grim, walking around on the grounds.
Yeah.
So it feels like they were waiting for him to leave.
Yeah.
And then he does. And they are on him, right? They're right there as soon as Scabbers is in the open. And Scabbers cannot do the thing like, dart under the tree, or because, Peter Pettigrew was the only one who could actually get them to the Whomping Willow, right?
The Marauders,
he could easily just go in there and hide. and Padfoot wouldn't be able to, but then Crookshanks can as well. It's almost like that's right. And I think that's actually maybe even revealed later on, but that's sort of why Sirius recruits Crookshanks.
Yes. Which is awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I can't wait
to
get
this
hear.
little rat.
Yes.
You know, that's coming up in a few chapters, I think. But
it's great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think that Crookshanks could see them or sense them in some way.
Okay, let's keep talking about Crookshanks since we're
the
talking
power
about
of cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crookshanks, which is we don't realize it in this book so much more important than in the movies.
Yeah.
Not just him helping Sirius. We don't really get that feeling in the movies. It feels like he's just this mean cat who's trying to eat the rat, right?
Right.
So he helps so much more in the books. And right after they get attacked by Sirius, so Scabbers bites Ron. Ron runs after Scabbers after Crookshanks, and they all run into the direction which they don't notice towards the Whomping Willow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Harry and Hermione are like, screw it. They can't run with the cloak on top of them really, full speed.
Yeah.
So they just kind of drag it behind them and run after Ron. So this whole group is running towards the Whomping Willow, and Sirius kind of attacks them. Now, first of all, really super brave of Ron.
Oh, yeah.
That he pushes Harry aside. And in this moment, we think, okay, the dog is after Harry. Yeah, so he's going to attack Harry.
Right, because it jumps on Harry and hits him in the chest with his paws at first. Now,
yeah,
you were like, why is he going after Harry? He might have just missed. They're moving around and stuff like that, and he jumps. Or what actually is said in the text is that Harry had seen him and was going for his wand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So he wanted to prevent him from using magic.
So he's going to prevent him, knock him down, and then quickly turn and drag Ron away. But the way it reads too in the story is that like after he knocks Harry to the ground, this being Padfoot, this being Sirius Black, he turns, right? And he runs back at them, and everyone thinks he's running to get Harry.
Yes.
And so Ron does something super brave, and he sticks his arm out and shoves Harry down again to get sort of in front of him, right? And then boom.
A giant black dog.
He
throws himself in front of his friend
while wrestling with Scabbers and all this stuff. Right?
Exactly. So, he still has Scabbers somehow in his pocket.
He's holding on there, and he does the one arm sort of jab and gets.
What a cool move, Ron. So give him some credit for that. Really.
Right. He gets more credit later on too when he's in the Shrieking Shack.
True. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So Crookshanks is the one who helps Harry and Hermione go after Ron. Ron's being dragged down.
Yeah.
Actually, without Sirius didn't even activate that thing.
No.
I feel like Sirius he slipped. How did Sirius even get it?
How did Sirius get through the Whomping Willow? Yeah. To me, it maybe just luck. Maybe he knows the brand. Maybe he's done this before, and you didn't need as much help to get into it. Who knows? But maybe Crookshanks was over there.
Oh, already did it for activated the freeze thing for the Whomping Willow for Sirius to get Ron in.
Just to kind of
and they didn't notice it.
Maybe.
Because it takes a second for the Whomping Willow to attack.
Yeah.
Right. So we know Crookshanks is somewhere over there. He sees everyone's standing underneath the Whomping Willow, so he protects them all kind of by just hitting that button.
Right.
Comes back. And then once Sirius and Ron are gone, Harry and Hermione realize where they are. They get attacked and they don't know. And this is so cool. I mean, not cool, but Hermione freaks out, almost like takes you back to the moment when, what was it? I don't know if that was a movieism, but when Ron says, "Are you a witch or not?" She's like just crying out for help, not knowing what to do in that moment.
Yeah.
And she's like, we have to get someone else. We can't do this on our own. We have to go back. And Harry's no, we got to save Ron.
Yep.
Right now, we don't have time. And she just says, help. And so desperately. And then she actually gets help from her cat.
Yeah. Crookshanks.
Yeah.
Yep. He's like, I got it. Okay. Which is interesting because you say this whole time that you get this back and forth. It's sort of like, what is going on? Now, we don't get the information right now. We don't really know. Crookshanks kind of disappears in the skirmish.
Yeah.
And is not really, we lose track of Crookshanks. So we're assuming maybe goes over, touches the knot, lets them get in, comes back. They're getting swatted. They're crying out for help. Crookshanks goes back in, presses the knot. Or maybe it's just that Black was able to get through the branches
because he's so experienced with it. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's no wonder why people have theories about Crookshanks, who Crookshanks could be. People
Mhm.
have said it could be Lily's cat, right? It
Yeah.
could have been Lily's cat, which is cool, really cool to think about, especially later what he does to Sirius. Um,
Yeah, by
but then
protecting him and being,
yes,
sitting on his heart and his chest and stuff. Yeah.
almost like they know each other. They've known each other for
Yeah.
longer than this. But then you would think, why would Sirius not just tell Harry, "Hey, this is your mom's cat"? And why would Crookshanks maybe? I mean, Harry was just a baby back then, but maybe recognize Harry more of like,
Yeah.
show some extra love to
Mhm.
Harry.
Yeah. I still love the idea because it is still super fitting that
Yeah.
that like Hermione kind of represents Lily, right? Because just in her
Yes,
in her
in her own
wit
way. Yeah.
and that she's a Gryffindor and that
Super
she's
smart.
she's near Harry and just a part of this trio. And you got Crookshanks sort of that she gravitated towards him and he to her. And then this protection of Sirius, it all kind of does makes sense. And I like the idea that she could be Lily's cat. So
Yes.
but now we go into the tunnel. Now this is a tunnel that is a passageway that goes off of the Marauders map. Like you
Right.
can start to see it, and then where it goes was really uncertain, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't actually show the Shrieking Shack as the
Right.
destination.
No. Yeah.
So they don't, and this we'll get into that in a second when Lupin shows up, and that's just this is a tunnel that Harry does recall. I think when they're in there, right? When they're in and they're chasing after Ron, they're seeing like Scabbers. They're seeing Crookshanks's tail.
Yeah, bushy tail.
Bushy tail bouncing around, so they're kind of like following, and they're like duck down.
Follow me.
Yep, follow me, come on. And then so they're going through the passageway, sort of hunched over, about an hour, I would guess. By the way,
Yeah.
so when Harry tries to go to Honeyduke's, right, it takes about an hour to go
Yes.
through that passage, and
Yep.
that's a long time.
Yes.
That's a long walk, y'all.
It is, and they have
Hunched
to kind of
over.
Yes, right. It's so low that they have to hunch over. Yeah.
That's quite a trip. So anyway, it's and he said it was about that long, so he felt like it was near. Felt like it was the distance that it would take to get to Hogsmeade. So he knows it's kind of on the outskirts of that.
Right.
Anyway, and which is why then Hermione, when they go in, she realizes right away, boom, this is it. This is the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah, she looks at the windows and they're barricaded or something, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we must be in the Shrieking Shack."
Right. How terrifying though for them to be like, Ron is like screaming ahead and you can't even catch up. Like you're trying to go fast and your friend is just being drugged further and further down this passageway. Like, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of shorts here recently about Sirius Black and just how crazy this whole thing is, in that like how safe is Hogwarts, because there's all these like dangers and stuff. And it's like, if he wanted to, like any animagus or animagi could just come into the school.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They can infiltrate the school that way. Anyone who's unregistered or whatever, like they could do that.
Yeah.
And it seems like a pretty big security flaw at Hogwarts.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
I mean, and it looks like, I mean, yes, Sirius and James were one of the smartest people in there, but it doesn't seem like that hard to become an unregistered animagus. And remember earlier when Hermione said there's only, I mean, we listened to the next chapter and she said there's only 7 registered animagi in this century.
Right. It's past 100 years.
It makes you wonder, like, there's probably more.
Right. But they're
unregistered.
But the fact that there's only 7 in 100 years makes you go, would that many people break the law, or is it really that difficult to do?
Oh, I think it's difficult. Yeah, it's
right. If it were more easy to do, why wouldn't you just register and just do it to do it, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, this is they did not. They're unregistered. We'll get there in a second.
And I think she's talking about the country of like the UK, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, registered with the Ministry of Magic.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, this chapter and the next chapter are just frustrating. Once they get in there, doing a reread, it's really frustrating because you're like, just say what you want to say, Sirius. What the heck?
Why do you make it seem even more like you're the guilty one?
Only one will be murdered tonight. It's like, okay.
Keep speaking in riddles, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, what does he say? Like when Harry's just like, you killed them or whatever. Like he's talking about, he finally confronts. So he gets in there, and Ron's leg is broken, by the way, which awful. And by the way, the number of times his leg is broken. He's been drugged all the way back in here. I don't know how he's still conscious. This is the magical abilities of these individuals, right?
Good point. Probably.
Magical blood and stuff like that. It's why he's able to sustain himself, because Lupin or somebody, maybe it was Black, falls on his leg either in this chapter or the next, and like almost, I'm like, did it re-break it? Is it bone out of skin? Sorry to trigger
anybody. He gets up and lunges at Black once more, like with his broken leg.
Right. Yeah, stands up and is like holding Harry back from attacking Black during their fist fight or whatever. But like Black, he just doesn't. It's just, again, frustrating because he is tormented by the fact that like he does switch the secret keeper. He feels super responsible. He feels like, yeah, I did kill your parents. And so he kind of mentions that and says that instead of saying to Harry, hey, no, that's actually wrong. I didn't do that. You know what I mean? But he feels responsible. So therefore it's all wrapped in why he stayed in Azkaban for 12 years. Just wild.
He says, I don't deny it.
I don't deny it.
But if you knew the whole story.
Right. And Harry's like contemplating, as you said, we were listening to the chapter and you're like, oh my gosh, Harry is in a super dark place, right? Yes. Like contemplating murder.
Yes.
And the murder of a cat as well, too, because Crookshanks jumps up there on, actually causes him to pause, right?
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, he's like, well, if I have to kill the cat, I'll kill the cat too.
Right. He is.
What, Harry?
It's described so well that it doesn't even matter to, like, consequences right now don't matter to him at all. It's just that rage inside of him that I want revenge. I want this person who I think is responsible for getting my parents killed.
Yeah.
I want him to be hurt and to be out of this world.
Yeah.
And I will do it. But you know what? Yeah. He's ready. He doesn't know it yet, but that means he's contemplating splitting his soul.
Yeah. Now, very interesting, and this is a one-liner. It's one sentence in there.
Yeah.
But as he's doing it, as he's about to essentially kill Sirius Black, as he starts to hesitate and drop his wand, or as the moments are passing by and he's realizing he's not doing it, and right as Lupin is entering the room, it says, I think I don't have the quote exactly, but it says like a voice in his head like told him to do it, right? And it's just like, but there was a voice screaming in his mind, "Do it!" And you're like, well, what is that's the Scarcrux? That is Voldemort, right?
Oh yeah, here, yes. It could be, totally. Yes, here it is.
How does it say? Read it. Yeah.
So Black made a startled movement that almost dislodged Crookshanks. That's after Hermione screamed that we're up here. So they heard something downstairs. Hermione wants to make themselves known. Black makes a movement. Harry gripped his wand convulsively. "Do it now," said a voice in his head. But the footsteps were thundering up the stairs and Harry still hadn't done it.
"Do it now," a voice. And then he actually, if that were his voice, he would, right? Yeah, like he would do it, right? Because something was inside his mind urging him to do it.
Yeah.
But yet he decided not to. This is where you get into mental health and stuff. And I often would say on Up Talk and Tolkien, our Lord of the Rings podcast, like, to be careful. Like, the first thought that comes into your mind sometimes is not there. I think, this is getting into like spiritual warfare stuff, but like things coming and the evil thoughts popping in, it's like how you respond. That's not you. Yeah. That's something else. And when it comes and when it happens in your mind, it's you who have to. So Harry in this moment responds and does not listen to that voice.
Yes.
And it's just it's interesting because it's fantasy, it's magic, it's whatever, but this is actually like Voldemort in his mind. Like this is another soul, another being, another spirit or whatever in his mind speaking, do it now. Right. And you're like, whoa.
Yes.
And he does it. And I just think it kind of, if you want to take it into like real life a little bit, it's just for people out there who struggle with those kind of things or thoughts, or you I don't know. Like, I just think it's just always the second thought is us. How do we respond? The first might not. If you have those really weird, irrational things coming to your mind, just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is Lupin downstairs. We hear, right? Lupin is like lurking downstairs and is coming up the stairs. Hermione cries out, and we're thinking, yes,
rescue.
Lupin is. Let's go.
Yep.
It's our guy. No. My old friend, Sirius Black. How you doing? What's up? Been 12 years.
I know. This is so sad, though.
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes, that Lupin joins the party.
Yeah.
This is the reunion of Remus and Sirius after all these years. Remus still unsure. Like they see each other for the first time, and it says Sirius first shows no expression.
Yeah.
Like there's no like light in his eyes or something. Like, oh my gosh, it's my friend.
Right.
There's just no expression at all.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad because they have some unresolved, feelings and things between them, right?
Yeah.
Because Remus really does believe, until he sees Peter Pettigrew on the map,
Right.
he really believes he's a mass murderer. He really believed that Sirius was the secret keeper.
Yes.
It's not known. It's not known even by Dumbledore that Sirius switched last second. That was between him, James, and Peter.
That was the whole point. That was the big secret they needed to keep.
Right.
Because they hoped that would also confuse Voldemort.
Right.
So here, let me read this part real quick. It's so first of all, Lupin walks in and he's like, "Hey, where is he?" Right. And the kids are wondering, who's he talking about? Who?
Yeah.
And so he turned to look at Black again, and Black's face was quite expressionless. For a few seconds, he didn't move at all. Then, very slowly, he raised his empty hand and pointed straight at Ron. Mystified, Harry glanced around at Ron, who looked bewildered. But then, Lupin muttered, staring at Black so intently, it seemed he was trying to read his mind. First of all, it seemed like he was trying to read his mind.
Yep.
Was he actually trying to read his mind?
Every time they say that in the series, Dumbledore, whoever is, whenever it's an adult or a teacher, Snape, typically it's Snape. It seemed as if Snape was trying to read someone's mind. Yeah. He actually is.
Yeah, because now we know that piece of magic is there and available for some.
Right. Yep. So people have gone back in the reread and you see things like that and you're like, oh, it doesn't. You're like, oh, okay, figure of speech, whatever. It just seems that way. The way he's staring, but then you find out later, oh, they actually can do that. That's a bit of magic that they could do that, and they may be trying to
we don't know for sure,
that.
but yeah, could be. And he says, why hasn't he shown himself before now? Unless, and Lupin's eyes suddenly widened as though he was seeing something beyond Black, something none of the rest could see.
Yeah.
Unless he was the one, unless you switched without telling me.
Yep.
And very slowly, his sunken gaze never leaving Lupin's face, Black nodded.
Yeah.
And the kids don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they just watch, like Harry's about to ask, but they just watch all of a sudden Lupin going up to this, they think, mass murderer, hugging him like a brother.
Yeah. It's weird from Lupin's perspective. We see it from the kids, but from his perspective, you can imagine in his mind, he doesn't say it, but it's almost like, yes, wow, I knew, like, this
deep inside, it didn't make sense to him that
never understood this. No. And now it makes sense. He was conflicted. He couldn't wrap his mind around it. It's probably been 12 years of trauma for him too, just to like, what happened to my friends? I had 3 good friends, right? We had this core group and we're all split. This is our reunion, right? Essentially, we have James's son here, but like you've got now Sirius and you've got Peter there. But just thinking about Remus as he goes through these 12 years, just like he lost all of his friends, right?
Yes.
I mean, Sirius is in prison. Yeah. Peter is dead as far as he knows. James is dead. It's tragic.
Remus is such a tragic character, and I love Remus. We all love. I mean, not all of us, but most of us actually have a place for Remus in their hearts.
Yeah.
And I definitely do love him as a character. But I just had a thought.
Yeah.
Did Remus ever see Scabbers before this moment? Did he never get a look at Scabbers?
Well, that's what we find out in the next chapter a little bit, is that they break down how is it that Sirius knew. So it is interesting, right? Did he ever have a chance? Did Remus ever see Scabbers throughout this year?
They were definitely.
That's the only time that he would have had a chance to have looked at him and seen him and seen his markings as Sirius did.
Exactly.
It is strange. It's crazy to think that Sirius is in Azkaban, has a limited opportunity or chance to see Scabbers, but sees the newspaper clipping. Wouldn't Remus have seen that same newspaper clipping and of the Weasleys and saw Scabbers and thought, oh my gosh, that's Peter?
He probably didn't look as closely.
Right.
Because he just assumed, because the difference is that Sirius knew Peter was alive.
Yes.
And he just assumed Peter's dead.
Dead. That's true. That's true. So
the assumption just kept him from looking closer.
Right. He's not going to look closely at every rat that he sees on the newspaper because he thinks, okay, Peter is dead. So he's not looking for that. Whereas Sirius is actively looking for, or wondering what happened to Peter, etc.
Yeah. Just wondering if he saw him even on the train.
Yeah.
They were in the same apartment. Compartment.
Yeah, they were. They were, right? And so, yeah, did he ever see him there? I know he was kind of asleep and he was struggling from like a recent full moon or upcoming one, possibly, or was taking his wolfsbane potion. But he may have. And it's just, again, the idea that he couldn't believe it. He couldn't bring himself to believe. And it wasn't until something that he created, the Marauders map, shows him Peter's name, that he starts to go, there's no way. It's like he should be dead.
Yep.
So yeah. And then, I've done a lot of shorts on the channel about this as well too. Like, what was Sirius? He just feels so guilty, so he doesn't put up a fight. He's given no trial, really. Everyone, who was asked or interviewed, Dumbledore and Remus would have said, well, he was the secret keeper for the Potters.
Yes.
And so somehow they were able to find the Potters, which means that Sirius probably gave the secret up. So in their minds, it's just like, okay, whatever. Now, that like the craziest thing, and this is going into the next chapter a little bit. We'll recover it then. But it's the idea that Remus never wants to let everybody know. All this breaks down. As far as he knows, Sirius is in prison, as I said. James is gone. Peter is gone. Why not let people know at that moment when this investigation is going on and all this stuff is happening that they were unregistered animagi, right? And then it comes up again 12 years later, and he calls him. Remus calls himself a coward. Yeah, basically says it was my pride. It was my feelings.
The relationship to Dumbledore that he cherished so much, because Dumbledore was the only one who would give him a chance in life.
And who believed in it
twice.
And he felt like he had betrayed his trust and didn't want to. So anyway, but there's just a lot going on there with these characters. A lot of the frustration that you feel as a reader going through this chapter and the next, like you see this in terms of like the potential plot holes or whatever, because they're frustrating. It's like a lot of things could be solved here, guys, if y'all would have just talked, shared some information, but you're a super secretive club, the Marauders. Yeah. And you grew up in secret in like secrets with secrets and made a secret map and a powerful, and then it just sort of, then you get into the war and you get into the fight against Voldemort, and there's really no time to process all that stuff or whatever.
Right.
So,
yes.
Yeah, it does make sense. But anyway. Right.
Yeah. So we have Lupin figures it out, and they're trying to calm the kids down because they're not ready to listen at all. Hermione is outraged with the fact that Lupin has been. So she thinks right away, oh, he's a werewolf. He's been helping Black to get into the castle. Yeah. And they're trying to explain, no, that's not the case. But you are right. I am a werewolf. Good job, Hermione. You figured it out, because Snape's homework, the essay.
Right.
He would be proud of you, basically.
Yeah.
Funny side note. Oh, maybe that's in the next chapter. Sorry, because we kind of read them both at the same time, and I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's like next chapter. Sirius is like, Snape? What's Snape got to do with it? And he doesn't even know that Snape's a teacher.
Yes. Yeah.
At Hogwarts. So very interesting. But before we end our chapter discussion today, I want to ask you, most important thing, people have asked all the time, what's up with that loophole surrounding the Marauders map, and seeing Peter Pettigrew on the map or not, or seeing Sirius Black on the map or not. Yeah. What's going on here? How do we solve this loophole?
Yeah, it is solvable, I think. Yeah. And there's people aren't going to, this might be hotly debated. I don't know. But there are theories out there that, like, let's set the stage. Harry has the map. And let's back up. Fred and George have the map, right? For what they give it in their 5th year, so they've had it for, let's say, 4 years. Yeah, and they've seen Percy has had Scabbers. Then they've had a time where Ron has had Scabbers, which is Peter Pettigrew, and which would show up on the map as Peter Pettigrew, but they never noticed that. It's been explained that when they're looking to do their pranks, or they're looking to get away, they're typically focused on Filch or Mrs. Norris or Dumbledore or professors. Teachers, they're not really looking at their brother. And then by the time Percy becomes head boy, Ron has Scabbers. So if they're watching Percy, Peter Pettigrew is no longer was with him, right? So it kind of moves around. Plus, there are hundreds of these students or whatever. Now, then so you can sort of say maybe that's what's going on. But then you've got Harry looking at the map, and he's super close to Ron
all the time. Yes,
all the time. And why didn't he see Pettigrew? Right. And he just doesn't. So in the movie he does, but in the books he does not see Pettigrew at all.
Yep.
There was a theory out there essentially that, and it's slightly off and wrong, but that the Marauders themselves, since they made the map, they were not visible on it.
Yeah.
That's not true, because you are able to see them on the map.
Well, we have individuals who see them on the map.
We have individuals who see them on the map. The two individuals that we in this chapter or this chapter and the next that we see seeing other Marauders are Remus, one of the Marauders, and then next chapter Snape.
Yes,
those are the only two who actually ever really see the like Pettigrew or Black, or maybe even could see Remus himself.
Right.
Those are the three Marauders you have left. So can you see those three guys on the map?
Yes.
Remus can, because Remus created the map.
Yeah.
Right. He is able to see Peter and Sirius if they appear on the map, he would be able to see them. Now, people are like, well, wait a second. Why was Snape able to see Remus going towards the Shrieking Shack in the tunnel? And the reason being is that Remus activated the map.
Yeah, he activated the map and left it on his desk.
Right.
Snape just saw it. It's not deactivated. You're always supposed to say mischief managed. He was in such a hurry. He didn't.
Right. So let's back up for a second. Essentially, if someone else would have activated the map, let's say any other professor activates the map, hands it to Remus, and Remus is like looking at it and going, okay, you know what, trying to pretend like he doesn't. And he then he himself can see Peter Pettigrew.
Right.
The person who activated it, if it wasn't him, can't see it.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think like, let's say McGonagall activates the map and is looking at it. I don't think she would see Remus. I don't think she would see Peter.
Yeah.
I don't think she would see Sirius.
Yeah.
Okay. And if she leaves that map out and open, then when Snape comes by, he wouldn't be able to see them either. But if a Marauder himself activates the map, I then believe they have access to themselves and can see themselves. Right.
That's the whole theory. I would agree with that. So I disagree. Like if McGonagall activated the map and Lupin was looking over her shoulder and he would see Peter and she would not, I don't think that's the case. I think everyone sees whoever activated the map, because then
levels
otherwise
of access.
the Snape thing would make sense if that was the case. So if a Marauder activates the map, then you can see the Marauders themselves on there.
Yeah.
That's how we could close that loophole for now. I think is to say that, because Remus activated it, Snape sees it, but before that, no one's ever seen, like Harry didn't even see Sirius on the map.
So here's what I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that, because remember when Lupin is called down to Snape calls him and they look at the map or whatever. I believe at the time Scabbers is still in the castle. I think Peter Pettigrew is still in the castle, right?
Yeah, we don't know where exactly he is at the time.
We don't.
I don't
think Scabbers has left yet. I don't think he has.
I think he has.
Has he? Okay. Has he? Okay. That would make sense then. That would make sense then why he doesn't see it.
Because they're already mad at Hermione. Remember, Hermione is watching them. Are you going to Hogsmeade or not? What's going on? And they're super mad at her still because of the whole Scabbers thing.
So Scabbers is ran out of the castle, you think, at that point?
Yeah, he might not be, anywhere. I mean, he could be in the castle, but like you said, maybe.
But he's not with Ron.
No, I don't think he's with
either
Ron.
way, if you activate if Harry has activated the map, or Fred or George or whoever, then that doesn't give you access to any of the Marauders.
Yeah.
Now, what I was saying is that maybe a Marauder would be able to look over your shoulder and see another Marauder, regardless of who had activated it. But I like the idea that if somebody who's not a Marauder activates it, then nobody can see them.
Yeah, everyone sees the same thing on that.
Yeah, you would need the Marauder to close, someone to close the map, mischief manage, and then Remus or somebody to open it back up. Then they get full access to who's on the map.
And I like that because it makes them, they're the owners, they're the creators of it, so they have special access to it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's other things they could see on it that other people can't. So, really cool.
Just interesting, because people have always debated, like there's the other big debate too, like can can you see a future Harry and Hermione
Oh
on
yeah.
the map? And apparently you
The ones
can't.
the
That's not mentioned.
yes, the two that
Or
travel back in time, because otherwise Remus would have seen them, because he looks at the map when he follows them while they're going down to Hagrid's hut, because he knew they might sneak out to help their friends,
right.
and he wanted to keep an eye on them because of Sirius Black still
Mhm.
wandering around.
Yeah.
So, and then the thing that shocked him was that Peter Pettigrew was with them when they left the cabin. So if he's taking it, or he's looking at the map while they're leaving, he would have seen Hermione.
Yeah, Hermione and
Hurry.
hurry.
Hermione.
Yeah, Hermione and Harry just over on the edge of the Forbidden Forest, right? Just around
Yeah.
like in the garden there
Yes.
area or whatever. So why wouldn't he have seen them? Is he
Yeah.
just caught up in the moment that he sees Peter Pettigrew and he just ignores
Yeah.
what's happening? Because he's following them from present time, Harry and Hermione and Ron,
Yeah.
all that whole group, and then over later in the up where are they at up there? Madame Pomfrey's
Yeah.
yeah, they're up there.
The hospital wing.
Hospital wing, thank you. And that's where they sort of would show up later. If they go back in time, you're gonna have two Harrys and two Hermiones
Oh yeah.
showing up. So one is here and one is here, and they're both working their way down
right
to the hut, right down to Hagrid's hut.
Yeah.
And he doesn't see them because he's tracking these two. So I get they're kind of lingering off to the side and they're not directly there.
Yeah.
So he might just be ignoring everything else. Maybe you can zoom in on the map and he's like really zoomed in on those two to see. But that isn't. He's also watching around them to look for Sirius, isn't he? Isn't he looking for Sirius and trying to see if Sirius comes in and
for sure.
attacks them?
Yes.
So that makes me think like he should have seen them, which might show a limitation on the Marauders map.
Yeah, for sure. I think they might not even know about time travel, so they didn't include it as some feature of the map, right? So
Could be.
They knew about invisibility cloaks. So they made sure you can still see somebody.
Right.
They didn't know really about time travel. And the question is, could Harry have seen Hermione and sitting in 3 classes at once? Had he looked at the map while he was sitting next to Hermione? Could he just
Holy
wrap
smokes.
the map and seen Hermione? Hey, you're in divination, but you're also in Muggle studies.
If you open the Marauders map and you have a student using a time turner, like would you, if you saw them in 3 different places, right? With you in this classroom and that classroom, oh my gosh.
So
that would be evidence
of
time travel. It makes me also kind of wonder, like we've never seen this with Dumbledore, but if the Marauders can create this map and track everybody in the why wouldn't Dumbledore or somebody else be able to do the same thing? Obviously, that is something that probably a headmaster or school official should not have, but it's like having cameras in your school, essentially, right? You're keeping track of where everybody is, and you're making sure that you're responsible for these individuals. So definitely would have helped during the
you're so right, because they have teachers doing double shifts. Like they have to teach during the day and they have to wander the corridors at night. Like we see Snape all the time out at night wandering and looking for students if they're out of their beds.
Right.
So is Filch. I mean, he's up all night, all day. I don't know how he does it, but wouldn't it be so much easier if someone could just do the night shift from their office and you only see corridors? You don't have to, you don't put the dormitories on there or whatever. You don't want to, maybe you want to see what's going on in there. So you just put all the corridors and maybe classrooms on there to see if any students are out of bed.
Right.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that?
Here's another interesting one too. In the last book, in Chamber of Secrets, Fred and George have the Marauders map and are able to see it, and their sister goes missing, and they could use the map to find her, but they don't, or the Chamber of Secrets is not on there because it's not something that the Marauders themselves plotted and found.
Right.
The reason the hidden pathways are there, passageways, right, to Honeydukes and or to Hogsmeade. Or other areas is because they found them.
Yes.
If they found them, then they would, then that would show up on the map.
That means there could be even more.
Could be
that the Marauders and Fred and George just haven't found.
Didn't find. Yes, for sure.
Cool.
So, okie dokie. Wow.
Really cool. Fun. I love the Marauders map. I love all the designs that are out there of the Marauders map, and I think it's one of the most famous and just a fan favorite item, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Now, friends, so hey, thank you. That was our chapter sort of summary and review, discussion, fun stuff. We're going to be moving into the next chapter next week. So that'll be more fun. But each and every week, if we do have one, we will read it on the podcast. Feel free to send these into fleurandbill@gmail.com. But we have the Owl Post. Let's go. Tyler on Instagram said this. Hey, guys, I was just listening to the last episode, chapter 14, and you were talking about Snape calling upon Lupin to inspect the map. I do believe Snape had we already read this?
No.
No?
No.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, guys, I was just listening to the last episode, chapter 14, and you were talking about Snape calling upon Lupin to inspect the map. I do believe Snape had put together that Moony was, in fact, Lupin. I think that when the map was insulting him and then he saw Moony, he immediately put it together since he knew Lupin was a werewolf. And the style of insults were exactly how James, Sirius, Peter, and Lupin used to tease him.
Good point.
Yeah, I think he called upon him to see if he would, in fact, defend his old best friend's son and kind of test where his loyalties lay. Thank you for the amazing content. Hope you all had an amazing Christmas. Cheers, your neighbor across the river in Kentucky.
That's awesome. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah. No, I think so too, right? We were a little confused about that. Again, just discussing why did he call Lupin down when he saw sort of the owners or the writers of the map. Did that trigger anything? Did he ever hear those nicknames? Did they just use those nicknames?
Did he know they were Animagi? And then what if he knew, why wouldn't he tell anybody either?
Right. I think he knew. Yeah, he didn't know. All he did know was that, again, Lupin is a werewolf, which we are finding out this chapter and next, kind of as we go into those two.
Yeah. I really like the theory that he was trying to test his loyalties.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense to me because I was just wondering, why would he call him? Wouldn't he expect him to protect if he was the creator of the map? I think he really just did it to see his reaction and to get confirmation. He is a creator of the map. And now what does he do with it, with that knowledge? So, and it fits so well with Snape being someone who's very smart, very calculating.
And spiteful towards Lupin, having this predisposition to be looking for flaws or shortcomings or something that would be something he could take to Dumbledore and say, "See, I told you." Yeah. Right. So yeah, Tyler, great thoughts. I think that's probably spot on.
Yeah, and thanks so much for writing in. It's always fun when you guys write in and we have something to discuss here and hear your guys' thoughts. Really. Yep.
Yeah. Also, friends, we're going to jump into Irma Pence's recommendations of the week here in just a second. But over on our community poll, I think we're going to start dropping sometimes even maybe as we do more of this video version of the podcast, a spot where other people who are just YouTubers, they want to, maybe have a comment or have something really short, 1 to 2 sentences just featured on the show. We can do that in the Owl Post. That would be a lot of fun.
I think
there are so many great comments on the shorts that we do. And I want to, it'd be nicer though, just to kind of say, hey, here's a spot where it's going to be featured in our content. And that if you submit it here, we're probably going to talk about it over on our show.
Yes.
Give people a chance to really, because
cool.
I think it'd be neat. So look forward to that in the future.
I like that. Okay. Irma Pence's recommendation of the week. Irma Pence I don't know. Me.
Irma.
She recommends.
Wait, who are you? Lottie, Fleur, Irma. Who else are you? Luna.
I
mean,
maybe. I love Luna, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I love Hermione too. So it's lots of characters I like. But
okay.
Irma Pence, actually, we don't get a lot from her, but she gives us great recommendations here, guys. And this one might be a book you have already read in your life because it's one of the most best-selling books around the world. And it's called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And if you're like me and you've heard this title before, wow, I made a really weird noise.
That's that German accent coming out.
You've heard this title before. Then, but you never really, the title is like kind of a little weird and it doesn't resonate with you. So you never really got that book out and read it. Now I want to inspire you to read it. It's not very long. And I actually downloaded the book on the Libby app, so the library app, which is awesome. You can get the books there for free. And Paulo Coelho is a huge author, and this is his masterpiece, where he tells the magical story of Santiago, an Andalusian shepherd boy who yearns to travel in search of a worldly treasure as extravagant as any ever found. And the story of the treasures Santiago finds along the way teaches us, as only a few stories can, about the essential wisdom of listening to our hearts, learning to read the omens strewn along life's path, and above all, following our dreams. And reading the story, it really surprised me. Somehow I expected a very different story, and it was like I was positively surprised at how the story goes. And I love reading books like this. It's a lot like the cafe at the end of the world, but yet very different. It's more wrapped up in an actual story.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I first encountered the author's name in an Airbnb in Australia, where his book, I think it's called Aleph or something like that.
Okay.
It sat on the shelves, and I remember I started reading it for a few days, but then we had to leave again, and I left there on the shelf. I didn't take it with me.
Yeah.
So,
but probably a good thing.
I know, right? Like you shouldn't. If it's an Airbnb, you shouldn't take it with you.
Right.
But the first few pages were already so interesting that I Googled the author, and I found out that he was the author of the book The Alchemist, and The Alchemist was recommended in almost every podcast that I was listening at the time.
Really? Yeah. I remember it being a big deal. I remember this being a big book that, like, I actually think I even bought it at one point.
Oh, you had it at one point?
I think I did, and I think I turned it into Half Price Bookstore. I don't think I ever read it.
It's really,
I think I started it, and then I didn't really know what it was, and then so I put it down.
I know, the same thing. I made it a goal to read it, and now 5 years have passed, and finally I read it, and I think it was worth it. It was great, and I actually looked up more discussion boards on it. What do the little side stories mean? You know, like how in Lord of the Rings, there's these little mini stories that they just reference, but then you have a whole story behind it, and what does it actually mean?
Right.
So that was a lot of fun. And then you also have, like, the book even has a real Harry Potter connection, because you will read about the Philosopher's Stone and the Elixir of Life. Yeah. So a great story for everyone who likes to go on a deeper philosophical journey.
Nice. Cool beans. Yeah. Also, friends, if you have recommendations, books that you want us to read that are kind of either companion pieces to Harry Potter series or self-improvement books, or something you think we might find interesting, please let us know. Send us an email, and I think we'd love to check it out, because this section's fun. We've shortened it a little bit just to kind of give you a quick little mention on the podcast, and
something we're reading.
We'll take away.
That's it. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, friends, this was our, when we first started this podcast, we did a video version.
We did.
So it's on YouTube, and we started Shell Cottage this way. We drifted away because we moved different apartments and we moved around, and so we finally have gotten back in, and we're settled here. But I like it. I think it's fun. I hope you guys enjoy. It's just an extra little piece here to our show. And I don't know, it'd be fun to even maybe feature some of our patrons in visual ways too on the podcast. And thank you guys for your support and bring you guys more fun content exclusively. So anyways, thanks to everybody for supporting the show, and just for I don't know, just being fun, positive,
just being a nice Potterhead.
Yeah, nice Potterhead. You guys are good. Potterheads are just good people. Just good people.
Look how cute, by the way. I gotta show this. It's a little bookmark that student once made. It was an elementary, and I was substitute teaching, and they drew this.
That's cute.
During that lesson, and they gave it to me, and now it's my Harry Potter / Shell Cottage Radio bookmark that I use all the time.
Yeah.
So
cute. All right, I didn't do as many silly voices this time. I think it was the video version that was.
I know, I got nervous, right?
Oh no!
I don't know what to do anymore.
They're watching me. I have to be careful. So anyway, we'll get more comfortable on the old cameras here as we go. But this was fun. I had a blast doing this, and again, we're looking forward to 2024. Honestly, friends, we have a lot of things coming. Cool things, I think, for the extended edition YouTube page, which includes our podcast extended edition and Shell Cottage Radio. And it's predominantly our Harry Potter content, theory videos, long form stuff, summaries, different things. I'm honestly really excited for it. And we hope you guys will just join us for that adventure. So, all right, friends, that's all for this week. Thanks for tuning in to Shell Cottage Radio 94.7 COZY. We hope you'll join us in the future. We thoroughly enjoy meeting new positive Potter people that don't behave like babbling, bumbling bands of baboons.
Baboons.
If you don't want to miss out on the next episode, then be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review and follow over on social media at Fleur and Bill.
If you truly enjoy our content, consider supporting our growing Wizarding family on Patreon or Apple Premium. You'll find all the links down below. Thank you so much to all our current patrons. We appreciate you, to Luna and back. On our next reread episode, we will continue our journey through Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban with Chapter 18, Moony, Wormtail, Patfoot, and Prongs. So make sure you tune back in next time. And until then, have a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us in our Shell Cottage today. We know it's not much, but it's home.